Check out theScore eSports for all of your Dota scores, stats, and news. Get it on the iOS App Store or Google Play. All right, boys, we are moving into game number 2 of IG versus Vega. Invictus Gaming taking game 1 in this series in very convincing manner. Thoughts coming into game 2. You guys are all chuckling already. What's going on? Are you guys holding hands on behind the desk or something? What's happening?
Honestly, I'm just really happy to be next to a former pro player in Milk, because when you really get to talk Dota, it's just such an honor to be here with people like Jacob, who just played competitively at the top level, and Austin Cap, Cap, who's
a great guy.
Watched people play better Dota.
I mean, I just love the fact that I'm able to experience all this great Dota that's around me, and then I've got somebody who only plays Storm Spirit and somebody who does only League of Legends. So I've got really great analysts with me, honestly.
No, that was so original. Honestly, that was
wow, Austin,
really well done.
Great comeback. I'm sorry, I didn't know trash was an element. Is that what you wanted, Jacob?
Whoa! My gosh. All right, well, we all get that out of our systems now? Are we all feeling better, boys?
No.
No? Okay, good. Well, we've got something to distract us. Don't worry. Don't worry. We've got game 2 here. The draft has already started. Wisp and Broodmother banned out by IG. Ember Spirit and Shadow Fiend banned out by Vega.
Yeah, we talked about the Ember Spirit being a hero that was going to be pretty heavily contested, and it feels like Shadow Fiend kind of falls under the same category for Vega Squadron. I just feel like this is just a respect ban overall for Ferrari. They don't want to have to deal with it again, and if you're going to lose to a hero, you want to ban it out and then force Ferrari to play something different, change up his style a little bit.
Already, I think the ban phase worked out in Vega's favor. They get the Queen of Pain again, and they get the Tusk, and I really think they realized that picking up the Clockwork for Mag is not as good as him on the Broodmother.
I agree. I felt like it was a huge blunder by them when they banned away both the Darkseer and the Tusk. It was like, okay, what are you left with offlaners for Mag at that point in time? If they'd left the Tusk available, I think that would have been a much better pickup for Mag, and this time around they pick it up in the 1-2. I think that's fairly obvious, but the IG second pick Alchemist.
That's interesting. I like the Rubik ban, obviously, coming out from Vega. I think they should go ahead with the Shadow Priest ban, just to make sure this Alchemist doesn't run completely amok.
Yeah, we saw the power of those two in tandem, and again, we've seen the power of the Alchemist in many different venues. We saw the position 1 hard farming, kind of Eternal Envy style, and earlier we saw Ferrari play it in the mid. A much different. So how does the Alchemist pair up against the Queen of Pain, though, in that mid matchup?
I think that the Queen of Pain will obviously win just because she doesn't really have any natural counters anymore, now that everything's been nerfed pretty heavily, but the Alchemist, like we saw yesterday, I think he was actually in that matchup, right? It was Queen of Pain versus Alch.
I believe so.
You do okay as long as you just play incredibly defensively. You understand that you're going to get the bounty rune. That's like 12 CS that's made up for you, so it doesn't really matter if you miss a few in the early game, and then you just ride it out, because once you hit level 6, it's incredibly hard for the Queen of Pain to initiate on you.
Okay, fair enough. Looks like IG limiting the support pool here. Ancient Apparition as well as the Earthshaker banned out by them as Vega think about their 4th.
And the Ancient Apparition again. Alchemist, his ultimate just keeps him alive for so long, so removing that Ancient Apparition is a must. That was the plan from the get-go. I'm not even convinced that Vega would have picked it up, but it's just you need to.
In the case, I think one of the best supports that's still left in the pool is going to be that Winter Wyvern. It's specifically good against some high HP heroes. I think that the Cold Embrace is really valuable. Vega Squadron have shown before the strength of being able to have both a Tusk and Winter Wyvern have multiple saving mechanisms, which also leaves still open position for your 4 position to be pretty damage heavy.
Here's why they didn't ban out the Dazzle.
They wanted it for themselves, and we've seen this double reset kind of synergy they have here with the Snowball as well as the Shallow Grave.
Dazzle's one of those heroes, if played correctly, it honestly just feels so frustrating to play against the Shallow Grave. Once you have a Glimmer Cape, you pretty much feel unkillable as a support.
Yeah, and you double that up with the Snowball.
Yeah, exactly. And then you've got the Weave on top of that, which late game just synergizes so well with any sort of lineup that you have. And when you're playing against an Alchemist who, if he decides to go for the build that we've seen Weeha really favor, like the mass negative armor strategy, it can be used both offensively and defensively. So you need 2 support, 3 supports. Okay.
I was just going to bring up the Undying, a hero that we haven't seen much today, but we've seen him banned quite a bit earlier in day 1. I think he fits this playstyle for IG quite well.
It's super annoying to fight in this area around the Alchemist Cloud and then the Undying Ultimate. That's something we saw a lot like a year and a half ago, where you just had to ban out either one. just because it was impossible to take a 5-on-5 in the Acid Spray and Undying Ultimate.
I think something really interesting too about the new Undying is that you need the certain amount of hits to kill the Tombstone, obviously, right? Yep. But when you have supports, if that's most likely going to be a support Tusk and a support Dazzle, those are heroes that so heavily rely on positioning that the Undying, the Tombstone almost baits you out into having to like walk into it and fight. And so like if your Dazzle and your Tusk are actually in that range to attack the Tombstone, usually your cores like have free reign. They're like, okay, this is where this hero is, this is where this hero is, we don't have to worry, we can just burst them down immediately. And so they don't really add value to the fight anymore.
That's a really good point, as positioning is the key with Dazzle. But Beastmaster, let's talk about the hero a little bit. The first pick of the tournament for old Rexar there. Cap, what are you thinking when you see a Beastmaster like this?
I mean, I like the synergy that Vega Squadron are going for so far. There's a decent amount of physical damage, minus armor and plus armor in some regards, but I'm still concerned that, yeah, IG just pick up one defensive hero to be able to stop that single target focus, and then they have the superior team fight with the Undying pickup. I like what IG have done. It's sort of hedged their bets between the Gyrocopter and the Undying. It gives you so much early game team fight that you should be able to then take the advantage with the Alchemist to out-farm your opponents. So you're looking really strong, I think, 15 to 25 minutes, and then the Alchemist really comes into play post 30.
I think the Beastmaster pick, it's not even, yeah, the ultimate kind of gets countered by the Shadow Demon, but part of it is that when you're on the Radiant side, it's so hard to check the Roshan, and that's what Beastmaster gives you. It's pretty much unlimited vision, and when you're playing against a lineup that has a Gyrocopter and an Undying, it's really important that before you walk in, you can reset the fight manually. Like you see, okay, there's 4 heroes there with the Hawk or the Sigil. Let's just kind of back out and we can kind of refocus and play around the timings like Tombstone. Because if you look at their lineup, actually, they don't do Roshan very quickly. Like, they don't have natural Roshan heroes. And so when you've got a hero like Beastmaster, like, he can even further delay it just by the vision game.
So what kind of carry are we looking at here for Vega Squadron? I'm not entirely sure.
It's got to be a big physical damage carry. The thing I'm still concerned about is that IG are running kind of the same thing as last time, which they're running multiple strong cores that go into the medium to mid to late game really strong, and then they're still able to win the 20-minute marker team fights, right? I had faith in Vega Squadron that last game they would be able to win it with the, Gyrocopter, Queen of Pain, these heroes that are supposed to be so strong during that period of time. IG still trumped them, and I'm concerned that it's going to happen again. I really think you have to pull out something that's a little bit different. I'm not sure if the Spectre is a viable pickup here.
I was thinking either Spectre or maybe even a Lifestealer.
I think Spectre actually gets online a little bit too late.
Yeah, I think so too.
The Lifestealer does have the advantage of being able to kind of man up on the Alchemist towards the late game and do some damage. What about something a little more elusive, like a Slark, that could come online a little bit earlier with like a Shadow Blade, try to pick on the Gyrocopter and Undying?
I like Slark actually here. It's not terrible, but the only issue is that if Invictus Gaming decide to go for some sort of aggro dual lane, then you start to run into a lot of issues. Like, that's part of the reason why I think Slark has fallen off a cliff.
Slark is pretty good here, though. They don't have much to actually handle him, whereas Demonic Purge would shut down, for instance, a Lifestealer. I'm not saying that Lifestealer was even...
Ursa Warrior.
There's an Ursa.
Okay. Well, there's a man-fighting hero indeed, the first Ursa of the tournament.
Okay, I like that a lot, actually, because I think it does well against both the Alchemist and the Undying. Especially if Ferrari decides to build like he did last game. That was really greedy. When he played the Alchemist, he went like Vit Booster into Radiance or something like that into Boots of Travel. Like, I think the Ursa just eats you alive, and you're going to need some sort of probably support that can just kite. Because that's the thing against Ursa.
I feel like the Shadow Demon could pose a late game threat to the Ursa in terms of cutting him around. Even if the Alchemist feeds him in Aghanims, you've got a lot of Demonic Purges to keep him slowed down, even if he gets that BKB.
There is still a Winter Wipe, and it doesn't really combo well with Shadow Demon and the support duo early on, but it does offer a lot going into later stages of the game.
Yeah, the Cold Embrace, Ursa is very single target focused. It's also another good controlling ability against the Queen of Pain as well as the Ursa. I could kind of see that, but I would be concerned that they need more power in the early game.
Could they move into a support Undying to perhaps grab a Viper here to kite the Ursa around? Also give you a good laner against the Queen of Pain?
It gets incredibly weak, and they don't have very much map movement and anything. Like, this Queen of Pain can just split push all game long if she wants to then. Like, I don't see Vega Squadron losing at all if they pick up a Viper now on Invictus Gaming, just because of the Queen of Pain having completely free roam.
Right. Only 10 seconds left here.
10 seconds remaining.
They look so calm.
Venomancer.
Okay.
All right. The Bananamancer. Interesting.
I mean, you cannot team fight in this. Like, running into Alchemist, Undying, and Venomancer, that's a lot of poison.
Vega Squadron are going to have to be so focused on pickoffs, and that's all.
I'm trying to imagine their lineup because it just went away on the screen. Because when you play against a Veno, usually the counter is that you just have overwhelming initiation coupled with burst damage before he can get his ultimate off. Because most of the time when Veno gets his ult off, fight's won.
All right, well, let's go with the last round of predictions here coming into game 2. Who's going to take it, Cap?
I'll side with IG on this one. I think their team fight's so superior.
I actually kind of really like Vega Squadron's lineup, and I think it'd be cool to see a game 3, so I'll go with Vega.
Faith in the Ursa. Okay. What are you thinking, Melk?
I like Vega Squadron's lineup as well, but I actually think IG will win it because of this team fighting.
Yeah, I think the Veno is going to prove to be a bit too much for Vega to handle, but we don't have to deliberate any longer as we've got a game underway. Casters, take it away.
Thank you very much. Yes, myself, W1 here with Merlini for game number 2 of this best of 3 series, Vega versus IG. IG, man, that team fight looks sexy.
This is me faking a smile because there's Venomancer.
Do you really hate him that much?
Oh, he's okay. It's just hard for anyone to do anything against him because you can't walk by the wards, and it just kind of crushes any sort of blink initiative.
But that's the beauty about IG. Like now, like it's almost impossible for them to lose a team fight. With everything that they've got. If Veno gets ult, you got Acid Spray, you get Call Down, you've got Undying Tombstone. The Ursa thinks he can actually rush after someone or initiate on someone, then you get disrupted. Or the Ursa tries to chase after someone, you then get purged. Or you've got Undying Minions on the back of you. It's the slow from Call Down. Well, let's just start it off with a bang. Seema actually revealing it. There goes your disruption. Luo preps with already that Gale, throws it out, but then again with a snowball. Seema actually managed to dodge it. The Decay's going to hit pretty damn hard. Chuan taking it away from 2, and the Rocket Barrage from Rabbit going to go to work. He's only got 1 more of these, however, but they just try and keep fighting. The Axe is doing severe damage there from Mag, but not enough to really dissuade IG from pushing forward. I love to the Ferrari. Through all of this fight, he didn't actually level up anything. He's waiting for that bounty rune. He's waiting to get the extra money, so he'll level up Greaves. Level up Greed.
I wonder what's going on in his mind. He's like, I really want the bounty rune. I know I'm going to regret skilling up Concoction.
If I can get a kill, it's going to be okay, but it's the way you play Alchemist now. You need to save up for Greeble Tree.
That was a really nice snowball by the Tusk. He like didn't wait for it. He just immediately did it on the illusions and then just went to the safety of his team. Ursa is actually surprisingly strong at level 1 with Earth Shock. Now it's 5-second cooldown. It used to be 6, but that's 80% uptime, I guess, excluding cast time.
Seema, as well as Solo. King J tried to help him out. Now Chuan's going to make his way back over, and he can get himself another double decay. And they take the dire creep wave with him, so Ferrari's going to have this creep wave underneath his tower, trying to find last hits. I suppose experience is experience.
Oh, there's your bottle.
Yep, already up. What a surprise.
Yeah, the Ursa, I actually think Ursa's pretty good. I thought he was okay in the last patch, but now that his Enrage is actually, like, not spammable, but you can use it on demand without having to worry about it that often. It's only 30-second cooldown, I think, instead of 40. It's pretty good, because sometimes you just have to use it defensively. Sometimes you want to use it to just kill people with Fury swipes. So it's a really high utility, and you want a low cooldown on that. But on top of that, the Roshan control, I think, is really, really good, especially with Medallion not being as great. But you have to play against a Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon just generally crushes melee heroes like Ursa, who have a lot of single target.
I do like the combination, though, with both the Tusker as well as the Ursa together, because Ursa doesn't really get that much out of his Enrage until, okay, well, Gale, Luo, I love to is actually a call. They're going after him. Wait, no, that's into the creep wave from Pasha. But you're able to get the shards off, and you can lock someone inside the shards just a little bit longer, and that allows Ursa to get those extra attacks in, which then allows his ultimate to really do a lot more work.
Yeah, so let's talk about the laning setup, though, for IG. They're doing a safe lane Veno farming with Chuan support, and they're doing an off-lane Gyrocopter. And it seems like they didn't really want Gyrocopter to be kind of zerged down by the Ursa and the Tusk, but the 2 melee heroes still can't tank Rocket Barrage that well, especially with the Shadow Demon up in there, but with this, they can kind of pressure their safe lane. Maybe they really wanted to pressure the Ursa at the start.
Maybe. The Venomancer's pretty good at that. He did receive a small buff of the Poison Sting. Middle lane, Ferrari, being initiated on. There's that sharp locking him. This will be first blood going the way of Vega. Simple rotation up. The Dire Observer Ward was down, and, well, Seema started the snowball, but Ferrari just could not get himself back in time.
Yeah, it was a really long-range snowball, and no levels up in the stun. I don't even think he needed a DD to get that kill.
It helps anyway, and this gives Vega a nice little bit of a kickstart. It was already a pretty damn good start for no one. 16-7 on this Queen of Pain up against a 2-for-0 Ferrari. He actually missed a lot of CS early underneath that tower. I know the general thing of saying is like, well, all Alchemist has to do is pick up the bounty rune and he basically still wins mid lane. But you still have Queen of Pain with a very, very quick momentum build.
Yeah, she'll have bottle boots.
They're going top again. You're gonna actually snowball in underneath the tower. Luo, very late in the gale, only connects over on Seema. Pasha was actually able to run up a little bit higher and evade that gale.
Yeah, they might be doing pretty well in the lanes, but IG's teamfight is really scary later, and no one is putting so much pressure on
He
Ferrari.
can kill him. He can actually blink forward with the double level and scream and kill off Ferrari now, but he decides to let it go and not risk it. There were a couple of stick charges over on the Alchemist.
Yeah, he didn't have nearly enough mana, and Ferrari, he probably has a bottle curl one more time before the 4-minute rune, and he's in no position to contest any of these runes. And it looks like Vega will probably have control up top, and Quap has far better mobility, and they can control bottom. So he got one bounty rune, but I don't think that's enough in the early game to justify the Greevil's greed.
They're actually sending him all the way back now. Just go back to base, TP back out to the front.
Yeah, I still don't think he'll make it in time for the 4-minute rune, though, even if he TPs. Well, that's value.
Yeah, they can't protect it in time. Solar can come down and deny it. There's top lane, so Ursa. Actually, the second highest CS on the board is 16 for 3. The Venomancer hasn't really paid off that much, as looks like SD Disruption is just keeping Solo away for now, and King J will just steal the Invis rune.
I think Vega has to win the lanes really hard, though, in order to have successful team fights in the mid game. They need Ursa to have a lot of damage and really, so they can't defensively disrupt, and so they can't stun him out with Alk and kite him with Flat Cannon and Rocket Barrage. Or more so call down, but I see him having a lot of mobility issues, especially if Shadow Demon is as well played as Solo played it last game.
I'm wondering how long it's going to take for IG to start their lane rotation. Like, you got Rabbit farming down here on bottom lane, sure. It's not going too bad for him, he's 21 for 2, but do you almost want to drop that Venomancer down to bottom lane when he's got high points up in wards, and he just becomes that buffer. So it makes it impossible for the Beastmaster to really push forward. The ball, at this point, is keeping Jaro a little bit further away from the lane, but he can't do the same level of harassment once you've got like level 3, level 4 plague walls going to work. Luo's in trouble, Snowball, and that's actually a pretty quick kill. Seema, actually, okay, TP out. That'll work. So Snowball into TP out underneath the tier 1 tower.
I mean, now he's out of mana. Luo doesn't actually have enough mana to win anything. He has a Basilius, but now they can kind of go in on the Venomancer without worrying about the Undying Tombstone plus the Venomous Scale. So it's not that bad. I think it's actually pretty good because Veno is just sitting there. Ideally, you want Venomancer to have like a CM Aura or a Bassi plus some form of mana regen, so you can constantly just spam Plague Wards every time it's up. But now he's like really pressed for mana at this point, and he doesn't want to go home and heal because they're losing out on a lot of efficiency with Ferrari having to go home and heal and them not being able to contest any of the runes.
Oh, no one trouble. That concoction's going to hit from Ferrari. The shots push him away, but not far enough. And now Seema in a little bit too deep. Ferrari cracks level 6. He's just going to use it for the regen. There is no follow-up now into Seema.
No one was trying to find that very tiny window where Alchemist was like in between 5 and 6. I think he was just a couple of creeps away and aggressively blinked. He did skill up 1 point stun. A little bit different from Weeha's build.
King J. He's just playing around with Solo for now. Not going to go for any kind of attack, just with a disruption, and that's enough. Solo just doesn't want to be involved in anything.
Ferrari's like, curse you, Illusion Rune. He's still only gotten 1 bounty.
Oh, the ward. Is he going to time? I think I saw him. Yeah, I saw Seema just in time, and Luo try and juke Seema around the tree line. The shards fly out, and Seema actually blocks himself. This is one of these things which the panel were flagging up yesterday, and what makes Venomancer such a great pickup in the current meta, where everything is now this rotation, this uncertainty. You never really go wrong with a Venomancer where he's able to defend, he can be aggressive, but he can also get a crap ton of vision. Maybe you can't go wrong with this, but it also feels like a bait with the call down, the Gale, Luo, he's actually able to walk himself away. Pasha just going to TP himself out. Solo's there to help him, but he just retreats out.
They don't even kill the Venomancer. What an annoying hero. He doesn't even have Poison Nova at this point.
Yep.
But I feel like that's going to be a very similar story for what's going to happen later in the game. You're going to jump on the Venomancer. He's going to have some sort of defensive ability, maybe a call down like we saw that time, defensive disruption, Soul Rip, and everyone's just going to die and unable to run away. And you're going to try and TP out. That's probably your best solution at that point.
Looks like it might also be that support build. The Arcane Boots is the item of choice from a Venomancer. I was wondering if you go like a little bit more aggressive, like something like a Yule Scepter to keep out like a hero like an Ursa when he jumps in.
Well, ideally later in the game you want an Octarine Core, so I think you can actually get value out of the Mana Boots. But before, you don't really want the Bloodstone on Venomancer, so now I think the Arcane Boots is a much better build, and he was like really low on mana after that Tusk engage, so it just doesn't hurt his efficiency at all, because it saves him a trip home.
He's going to reveal Seema here, and should actually flag the fact that he dropped down the Observer Ward. Yeah, that ping comes out pretty much on the mark. You can also be marking out the fact that Hawk is there. But it's bringing a lot of unwanted attention to that Rosh Pit, which is where Pasha is currently trying to take out Roshan. They go for Disruption Catcher. Actually, only Disruption. King J locked in by the shards, and Pasha comes out trying to fight, but it's not a full block. King J will still die. That reveals the fact that Roshan's going on. The Venomancer comes down. Luo just throws a ward underneath Roshan's belly. So there's no way Vega can do this without having IG knowing everything.
Yeah, and now he's going to just constantly park one there. Every 40 seconds.
Chuan's being attacked. He's still got Soul Rip and Decay, but no one. The Head of Sentry was. They saw him coming. The Sonic Wave will fly out, but Chuan, it's almost like he's just trying to take it for the team so the concoction can hit. 4 seconds left for that Blink Cat Dagger, and the shards, it can't block him out. In fact, now it's too deep for the Tusker, and way too much damage being inflicted out by IG, but that snowball to work. They get rid of the Observer Ward. And maybe now, like, do you even say to IG, like, do you care about taking out Roshan yourself? Do you just let it go and just keep tabs on it with having Luo in the bottom lane?
Yeah, you
draw
just
a ward
keep
every
tabs
couple
on
of seconds.
It'll take him way too long without a Solar Crest on Alchemist, and he just needs. They just need some time to catch up. And they're just buying time with the Venomancer. He's going to start pressuring the bottom tower with his Basilius, and he's kind of going the same somewhat sacrificial build like last game. Okay, I'm just going to get a mech. If I die, I'll still be useful, and everyone will just clean up afterwards. And ideally, you want to really farm Gyrocopter. He's already doing pretty well in the top lane, 1-0 and 1. Yeah. And they've killed Queen of Pain. So she had like a really good start. I think she had like 16 CS compared to the 2 on Ferrari. And Ferrari has his ult up. They don't really want to go in at this point. They're maybe trying to look for a squishier target.
Well, if they can catch it when it's down, that's one way to go. But yeah, they're moving over. And Chuan, he's going to walk down and then instantly scouts it out. He is that smoke detector for him. Drops down the Tombstone. Understand he's probably going to die. And they actually commit Roar as well to this. The rotation's coming in from Ferrari. He's got the Son of Verbal. And no one again with its 1 level up in Blink. He just cannot get away in time. The Acid Spray is down. One more punch back. He can actually tick out from the poison sting if he wasn't careful. And Seema, he always finds himself being this collateral kill. I say collateral. He's always just dying with the rest of his teammates. And they're TPing towards the front lines. They're trying to catch up. You had Ferrari set himself up with a concoction, but rapid with the Rocket Barrage. Seema will end up dying, and they use the courier to ensure they keep that high ground vision on him. So
I must say,
6-4.
IG's map awareness this game and last game has just been incredible. Like, they kind of visualize where Vega is, even though they smoke, and they popped a couple of them, or they only get like 1 kill on a support, like the Skywrath last game, and those are like the really devastating smokes. On the flip side, you had Vega, who they had the Gyrocopter that died to the smoke, and it just crippled his economy for like the next 10 minutes. And Rabbit still alive and healthy, 2-0 and 2.
Yeah. It's a wonderful situation for IG. You see the Alchemist, with no real surprise, pushing forward in that net worth up to 5.1k on his net worth. And the nearest is the Queen of Pain with 3.6k on no one. And he just can't keep up with the Alchemist. So what do? You've got a Beastmaster. It almost feels, and yeah, I think we're actually going to see our first Necro block of the tournament coming up on Mag. So they could just turn this into a full-on fight and push style game.
I think they have to fight. Ursa is a hero that needs to be able to control the map as well as control Roshan in order to win the game. And right now, they can't really do either. But maybe once he gets a Blink Dagger or they get the Beastmaster Necro book, they can start getting more kills. But
Ferrari, real trouble for him. Caught with his Chemical Rage down will allow Dazzle to finish the kill with a Poison Touch. No one doing a lot of the damage, however, committing both Sonic Wave and Scream and all the rest.
And still, you have Venomancer.
Yep. Raw, top lane, Chuan. He's still got Soul Rip available. He's going to have to use it straight away. Can turn for the Decay and actually can't get that one off. So Mag finds himself a solo kill. So they get 1 on Ferrari, they get 1 on Mag. And this is kind of what Vega were looking to do previously with their smokes, but they're doing it 1-on-1s now.
Let's see, King J kind of looking out for Pasha. setting it for a gank, calling in Luo.
He knows that Observer Ward is just down a little bit further south, is seeing Pasha's movements perfectly. So Disruption wants to kill off the creep so he can ensure the catcher, and now the Gale well off target from Luo, but they just commit the Nova, and there's no running here as the Ursa, and it's a really bad time for him. Maybe there is when Solo's in the tree line, he can just turn him for that shallow grave, and Seema, he comes in, no one as well, no Sonic Wave with the Scream damage, and the burst heal arriving from Solo. It's all about the heal, and Seema picks up a double kill. King J losing a lot of life to him. Ferrari has to turn around, stunning up over on that Tusker, but right now I don't think they really care if Seema dies. The shallow grave from Solo making it difficult for IG to really gain something back from this one, as he's just running himself away. Another decay, another heal, but another Ass Spray concoction. Solo will end up popping. Pasha gets back to base, no one survives. That feels like a huge win right now for Vega.
That was decent for them. It could have gone so much worse if they had actually hit the Gale on Ursa. They missed it after the disruption, and they had to chase like way too deep, and it bought so much time for the TPs.
And it stopped, like, because Pasha survived through this, he's now 50 gold away from Blink Dagger. That's why I'm saying it's a big win for Vega. They didn't stop the critical timing and items for Vega.
It is, but at the same time, it gives IG more control of their jungle, because they didn't lose the fight that hard in the jungle, and Ursa doesn't really feel safe. He does have his Blink Dagger at this point, but they're doing decently, and that was only a one-man Poison Nova on an enraged Ursa, so it wasn't your ideal fight for IG. I think like if IG like replays that fight a few more times, they win. They feel confident taking a team fight because of how poorly their execution went.
Yeah, you are right. Like IG still, we have to keep in mind just how much strength they do have behind their lineup.
So out going for a super unusual build with a Vit Booster first. I think it's just a casual Vit Booster at this point, but
he's got SMY coming.
I mean, most of the time, if you want HP, you just go straight line up on Alchemist because it gives him damage as well. So maybe just trying to tank up versus the Queen of Pain and the initial burst.
The Weave's already having his effect, so Ferrari's down at -4 armor at the moment, and Mag's waiting for the perfect opportunity, which is this. Jump in, they Sonic Wave on the SD, they get the kill, but not before the disruption comes out, so it buys a little bit of time as Pasha mops up the tombstone. They go over to Ferrari's, a big call down over from Rabbit with the flag cannon. Vega's losing so much life as Tolo gets himself up with Zone Shadow Grave. This won't stop him from ticking out from the Gale of Luo. You can burst heal up for the Pasha. How many can he bring with him? Quite a fair chunk of them. IG, they actually haven't claimed a single kill just now. In fact, it's a complete team wipe in favor of Vega. And they take the tier 1 tower. The perfect time, the stripping of the armor, and just the kiting. This time it was Vega who were doing it.
Yeah, Alchemist has like no armor. He's just going to get obliterated by Ursa, so that's one of the downsides of the Vit Booster build. On top of that, they have better vision, surprisingly. Generally, when you're playing against Venomancer, you're always at a deficit for vision because of the Plague Wards, but Beastmaster is doing his job. He has Caulk, he has Necro 3 at this point. They can start rewarding. They have the Aegis, and Queen of Pain was able to burst down the Shadow Demon. Shadow Demon is your ideal target. Last game, they couldn't really kill him. They still ended up winning the game, but this game, they can actually control the Shadow Demon very, very well with the Beastmaster, and even the Tusk. Like, he's going to have to defensively disrupt if he sees a snowball coming at him.
That was one of those times where you say IG didn't actually have that presence of mind across the map. The fact that Vega were able to loop up the way they did. Like, IG were looking to fight in a different area of the map. In fact, let's actually just have a quick look at that mid-fight again. So I love how, too, like, Ursa instantly says, get rid of that tombstone. Just jump down, I don't care. Like, Fury Swipes, just commit everything we possibly got. Ferrari just melts. And the damage from Rabbit, it brought Vega so close, but it wasn't close enough. It's an early Gyro who doesn't have a damage item yet.
And that's a good point about the Undying Tombstone. It was a buff in some ways, and definitely a nerf if you consider it versus an Ursa. I mean, he can't really do that much without the Tombstone. He doesn't have his ultimate right now, only level 1 Decay. He's probably thinking about maxing Decay instead of maxing Tombstone at this point because it can't stay alive versus the Blink Ursa.
He's already maxed Tombstone. Like, yeah. He's no choice, he's locked in that position. Maybe hindsight for his next game.
At least they get their own stack, so not the worst thing in the world for them. But Alchemist is still sitting at 3 armor. He can die really, really easily.
He really needs to have that SMY. That's the funny thing. Ferrari's had like 3/4 of the SMY completed.
Is SMY the best choice here, though?
That's also a good question.
Like, HP is nice versus the Queen of Pain, but versus everyone else, like the Dazzle with all his physical damage, Beastmaster with all these units coming out.
When he started it made sense, though. Because he started this about like 8 minutes ago, and then just got killed a couple of times. And then you're like, okay, well, now the timing isn't exactly right. But he kept fighting without even having the Sunge on him. Like, he ended up buying the 2 1k items because he was dying most of the time, so he just left it back inside the base and never flew it out to himself. So there was never any advantage for the net worth, which the Alchemist did possess.
Yeah, ideally, if you're IG, Veno's the one that gets initiated on, and then he dies, but gets off his Poison Nova and Mech. But they're kind of just ignoring him, killing the Tombstone, and killing the really high priority targets early on in the fight. Gyrocopter and Alchemist mostly.
Vega's coming again. A level 3 Necro book already up for the Beastmaster. He just went for that and nothing else. They really want to try and get a really good fight and then push in. Take out the tier 2 tower at least and inflict some heavy damage into the tier 3. That's the objective for Vega at the moment. That's if they get a good fight up against IG.
Steam has also had some really incredibly placed ice shards this game. It's bought so much time from like the Ursa gank on bottom, and it kind of always separates the fight, and IG can't come together as a cohesive unit. And Mag always finds this Necro 3 timing. Like prior to 20 minutes, I've seen him do it as like an off lane when he gets completely zoned out. I'm not exactly sure how he always does it because they don't have ancient stacks for him all the time.
Well, I can tell you this time, getting solo kills on the top lane. He's got 4 kills, 0 deaths, 1 assist as the off laner for Vega, and he didn't have any help either. Like it's like at the initial start, sure maybe, but after that, he was just doing it all solo. And then you take out the tier 1 tower as well. You get involved in all these fights. It's a perfect time to be a Beastmaster in this game. The control factors are working, and the SD can't really do much about it. Neither can Luo. Because what's Lure going to do? Yeah, I'll get in there with my damage. No, I set up a whole bunch of plague wards, but even these are getting mobbed up.
Yeah, he's not farming fast enough. He's only level 9. You want level 11 so you can actually take a team fight, because it almost doubles your damage output from that spell. But he doesn't have farming tools. He went a
shot jumps in straight on the back of Luo. There'll be the defensive disruptions. Whilst the Gales were not too healthy, and now comes out the Nova with a Tombstone. They haven't completed it down yet in Pasha. The Shallow Grave's going to keep him alive, but the damage which has already been done with the tick which is happening is in Vega. A horrible position for them. They just punch him around. Seema is the one that has got considerable life on them, but Luo low as well underneath this tower. Pasha back to world of living. Seema hiding in the tree lines. King Jake's managed to find will disrupt him, which will ensure the kill over on the side. But Chuan, no one back in here with the Orchid. Not to mention that Haystone chasing up after, actually into Ferrari. But Ferrari's doing more work. The concoction will fly. No one's going to pop. So low, 6 life. The Poison Sting's only down to 2, and he ticks out to the Venomancer. 896 gold for that one. IG holds strong, and that's the team fight for them, which really works. The Tombstone stayed up, and they hit their big abilities.
They weren't able to burst down the Venomancer in time because he got defensively disrupted. I'm not exactly sure who the Orchid went out on, but because he got off that Poison Nova, that fight just went very, very well for IG, on top of it being able to pop the mech. Oh, that was that was the greatest fight for IG you could hope for.
They managed to get a swing of almost 3.8k in the gold, and a swing of about 4,000 in the experience. And considering how far they were behind, like it's about 8.5 going the way of Vega for the net worth, as well as the experience. And they managed to drag it back down to about 4k as well as, well, actually 4k. Pretty even on both of them. And this skyrockets the Alchemist forward, because now we've got Ferrari with 2.9k gold. Where does he go from here? The Gyrocopter, who completes up his, looks like it's just going to be the Yasha for now. But Rabba's starting to get to a point where
looking for a solo kill on Chuan.
He could do damage, and yep, Undying. He's still got Soul Rip up. No, he's got no mana. He's got no time. That seemed a little too easy. And now he's got Blink Dagger.
Yeah, the Ursa got kited really hard after the Aegis. Generally, you're like, oh, okay, they used so many spells on me, we can win the fight, but he still got kited really hard. He had like a poison sting on him, he was sitting in acid spray, and no one could really run around, so you can kind of see IG's like strength of their team fight right now, and it's really on, I'd say, like Beastmaster. I mean, their whole team can blow up the Shadow Demon very easily.
Ferrari's about to stun himself in the tree line on the top. He saw a small opening trying to have a crack at the Ursa. Now the shards will flying in. Ferrari, he's actually locked in a little bit with the trees. That's why he has to Culling Blade his way away to freedom.
Is under attack.
So let's see Gyro's item progression. He's doing decently. I think a little bit more farm than last game's Gyro. They need more stacks for him. Like at this point, I still think he has to like run away when Ursa jumps on him. You want to be able to turn around and kill everyone else, as well as pops Ursa's enraged, but he's not very threatening at this point in time.
It's either that or you have the SD always standing behind him. And that's the only other real choice.
Yeah, but ideally you want to save that for the roar target, not Ursa's initial jump.
Yeah.
They have 4-step to kite him a little bit better. I like the item builds coming out from IG. Multiple 4-stabs, you see the defensive mech as well as a Ghost Scepter from Venomancer. He is level 11 at this point.
They can't kill him off now because of these items. Like, he's going to get that ultimate off every single fight. The funny thing is, like, look at his build. He didn't put the second point up in Nova at the moment.
You want to roar 1 or, like, you know, Ursa jump 1 and then co-op Orchid the Shadow Demon. Then if you get that sort of initiation, Shadow Demon doesn't have a blink, so he should somewhat be able to focus down. But you need like a BKB co-op so you can just jump in without worry. And now they lost control of their Ancients. Mag still has his Necrobook up. They have a couple wards right now, but they could easily take him down.
I'm actually really worried that Luo's mana pool is going to be his worst enemy at the moment. Because it'll explain why he hasn't put that second level up in Poison Nova. He's got 796 mana pool, but if he levels up, it's going to cost 300 mana to let the ulti go. Then another 225 to let the mech go. Yeah, you got Arcane Boots as well as Stick Charge, but you're using a lot of your mana prep work to get down these Plague Wards as well as the Gale.
Yeah, maybe it might be better for Vega to just burn him with the Beastmaster Necrobook rather than just ignore him, ignore the other people. But IG have like no map control right now, and Veno is okay, but everyone else is not.
Ferrari's going to go for his signature Alchemist build. It's going to be the Radiance build. And for the Alchemist,
it's not bad as long as he can stay alive. I'm really worried about his armor right now, so having to build into maybe like a Ghost Scepter or an AC, I would say, after to survive against the Ursa and the Tusk and Weave and whatnot. And he just needs to stay alive long enough in the fight for everyone to just get burned down by the damage over time. So, Shadow Demon, tough job of Luo?
Luo? Okay, he's going to TP himself out. He'll survive through this. Oh, then again, no, he won't pop. Barely stays alive back inside the base with both the Orchid pop and then the Shadow Strike ticking him down. If he decided to Gale no one to try and force him back to base, I think is the only assumption here. And it worked. He almost died, however.
Yeah, let's see items on Vega. BKB almost out on Ursa. BKB up on Queen.
I still can't believe this net worth, which is on the Alchemist. Would you actually answer the other question too? Like, is it worth the Alchemist? Like, do you make Ferrari into the fighter, or do you make it so Ferrari supports the rest of his teammates? Like, is it worth giving that Undying the Aghanims upgrade and letting him have that 10 decay steal, or giving the Venomancer the Aghanims upgrade to Nova? Is it worth Ferrari doing that as a sacrifice to himself?
I think both are kind of fine, but I think Chuan's just going to die too quickly if he gets the Ags, and King J, he has a lot of trouble prioritizing who actually do you want to save. Do you want to save the Venomancer so he can get his ulti off? Do you want to save Alchemist so he can pop his ult and just try and stay alive to burn everyone down with Radiance? Do you want to keep the Gyro alive so he can get like a MKB and all those other items like coming in the late game? And I don't think that Undying is high enough priority right now to deserve a defensive disruption nor an Ag Scepter.
I'm just thinking from the other mindset too of how much life is there really on Vega. Like, if you start taking away from them Rapid, okay, that cooldown's going to buy a little bit of space, but still not going to stop Mag from blinking forward, going for the Roar and the Necrobooks. Rapid is totally dead, and King J came in to try and help him. Now he's going one after the other. Ferrari will arrive. Concoction Sun will catch up on 2, and there's your Nova going to go to work. Mag just wants to TP out. How much life has he got? Is it going to be enough? And it will be enough to get back to base. He won't tick out in time. In fact, Luo's Ghost is protecting him from Solo, but it won't protect him from no one. Blinking forward, Ferrari will also drop Solo to shadow grave himself up. There's your team wipe going the way of Vega. Solo is still low, and he knows that that Poison Sting is keeping him down. He's got enough heal to stay alive, and Vega, now it's their turn to team wipe.
Their mobility is so much better. They have like Snowball, they have Blinks, and IG, they're just having trouble moving around the map right now and trying to find any sort of farm. If they just 5-man, they'll just get off-farmed by Vega, and Vega will just do Roach at one point, and if they don't, then if they do, they just get picked off of this. So I'm not exactly sure what IG is supposed to do at this point. It seems like they prioritize a lot of farm in the Alchemist, but he is just dying a couple of times when he dies, and everyone else is just super poor.
Yeah. And now it's
Luo especially.
It's another fight which Vega win, and then instantly just pop into Roshan. So Aegis the Maul is going to be in the hands of the Ursa. He completes his full BKB as well. So you still will have a couple of problems with both Cooldown as well as the Venomancer. but he's going to have a little bit more freedom to walk around and not get disrupted up when he jumps in.
Yeah, it's a really bad precedent for IG that they lost like a couple of the skirmishes early. With Undying, you really can't afford to lose the early game fights. It's kind of like playing against a Spectre. Like, if you lose the early game when you have an Undying on your team, you're in for a very, very tough game.
I'm still thinking it's going to be tough for Vega to finish this game. Like, they almost need IG to come out and try and fight them, because if IG defend from high ground, between, well, everything that IG have for defensive purposes as well as wave clearing purposes, Vega just need to man mode it through. Find that early pick off, catch Ferrari out of position. A moment like this where you can just jump in and just clap, kill, and then you push.
But that's what the Beastmaster is for, is to get map control, take down all the wards with Necrobook, and just scout out with the Hawk so that IG is always feeling scared. Gyro's the only one on bottom, and he's trying to rocket creeps.
Mag, solo kill time. BT's blink forward, burn off all the mana. He's got drum charges and 3 1 charges up his sleeve, and this may allow Rabbit to survive, but Mag's got blink off cooldown in 2 seconds time, and he's got access in 3 seconds, and that's what he could be looking for. But look at IG. They bring the whole cavalry over the hill. They ensure that Rabbit will survive, but they sacrifice their tier 2 tower on top, and the momentum in the middle lane for it.
Yeah, Mag is controlling the entire map by himself, and now he has a gem, so they really have no chance of keeping wards alive, and IG is locked into their own base. And yeah, it's going to be difficult to push against the Venom wards, but they can't farm anywhere. If they can't farm, they can't win.
Yep. So they can try and just farm from inside their base, that's it.
Yeah, they still can maybe make a move. They have 3 minutes left on the Aegis, so maybe make a decent attempt at this, or just wait until the Aegis and cheese.
Yeah, I'm actually wondering if Vega's even feeling pressured. Like, you got IG locked inside their base. If IG going to come out, they have to smoke, and you can still just keep that split push going, so keep farming up. What's the next big items which will help you finish this game? Like, you've already got the Greaves on the Tusker. You've got an Axe being worked on by the Dazzle.
I mean, you want heroes that can just kill anyone out on the map who's farming alone. So maybe like a Scythe on Queen, Abyssal Blade on Ursa. Then you have 3 heroes who can pretty much kill any single one of IG's heroes. And you want the 1-on-1 engage as opposed to 5-on-5, because if like Veno like sends his ult in desperation, then it's only going to hit one hero. You can easily top him off with like Dazzle Heal and Urn, and then you can make a push if he blows his ultimate. But if he doesn't blow his ultimate, then you just push, force somebody back out, and then rinse and repeat if IG dares to venture outside of their base alone. So IG, they kind of have to counter this by farming in their own base, which is actually a decent possibility because of Greevil's Greed, or making an aggressive smoke out. But they don't have any instant stuns to lock down heroes before like Queen of Pain pops her BKB or Ursa pops his BKB.
It's actually one of the greatest sieging lineups when you think about it, because even as long as you don't lose out on your racks, then the creeps are still worth a decent amount, and Ferrari can keep farming it all up and will eventually shift the money into everyone else, or be this huge-ass powerhouse alchemist which can control other hero like an Ursa, or survive the initiation of the Beastmaster. This initiation is going to be even harder. It's a refresher or build coming out from Mag, so it's double Raw, it's double Necros.
What? Is that farm?
He's only got the first Perseverance, unless he's thinking about Lincoln Sphere, which doesn't really make a lot of sense in this game. Yes, it's just the build he started.
Yeah, I mean, IG can scale a decent amount. I guess Veno and Shadow Demon and Undying, I guess everyone can kind of carry an axe, aside from Alchemist. Gyros is pretty useless. So 3 viable heroes for that.
I suppose he could farm on one lane and defend the other with call down. If you end up in the ultimate split push.
That's what Venom wards are for.
That is exactly what Venom wards are for. Courier. That has the mana style on it. They really need to keep this thing alive. They're chasing after it, but the Courier, too quick, had the burst available and runs away to the Radiant side of the river.
Manta style is a very interesting option for Alchemist. He got Ascension Yasha. It's kind of more in flavor now, but now that Manta has gotten buffed, as well as them being locked inside their actual base, and that he has the Radiance build, I think it's pretty good. So he can actually split push out the lanes. They can't leave their base right now, and if he has, you know, one illusion pushing top, one illusion pushing bottom, and some people pushing mid, maybe they can attempt to smoke gank out. But as of right now, it's way too obvious. If they smoke gank out right now, it's
no one. Nope. He gets scattered out because he started taking the creep wave. That Courier looped in behind the tier 1, tier 2 tower of Vega to come all the way back over the Ancients to get back into the IG base. That is the longest travel Courier for a while now.
Yeah, so now IG is shifting gears. They know that the only way they can win is if Alchemist gets super farmed, or if Vega make a huge blunder in your base, which you can't really rely on. So the more reliable route is to get Alchemist super farm, give people eggs, so you have other cores that do damage. And Vega, they're not under that much pressure just because they're having like ridiculous items coming out.
Yeah.
Beastmaster eggs, H's and cheese, and 5 or so minutes.
It's just going to be in the back of their mind. Like, we all thought it as well when the draft came out from Invictus Gaming that their team fight is just completely ridiculous. So why would you take the risk right now? Like, that's the big question mark. Like, do you even need to take the risk? The answer is a simple no. You wait until you can force IG into an unfavorable situation. IG will keep making the most out of the situation they're in, and you just don't give them anything extra. Like a solo pickoff here would be a very, very simple thing if IG had initiation. But there's no blink on Ferrari, or no Silver Ray Shadow Blade kind of build.
At some point they need armor though, like a Solar Crest for Ursa's target, who he is going to get an Abyssal Blade, and then you want, like, you know, a Vlad's and AC for extra armor to kind of counteract Dazzle, as well as a lot of the damage coming out from Inner Beast and Beastmaster himself. Still, Undying is pretty much useless at this point in the game.
Yeah.
So Alchemist has to do the heavy lifting. He has to pretty much carry this 4v5 by getting Ags and getting super farmed and making Greevil's greed compensate for Undying's lack of net worth.
It still feels like they need to actually have the rest of IG do something, and the only way to do that is by, I still don't want to say sharing Ags, because it doesn't really seem to do enough. Like there's Ferrari getting aura items instead, like getting that Assault Cuirass up and running, so it's just like you can actually counter something like this big weave that keeps coming out from solo at the start of fights. Because it's just scouting out where IG are. Throws it up, it's like, okay, well now we know. Allows us to jump, he's already got the fast drop, so for now Pasha has to rely on RNG to lock down the target. But when you've also got overpower, that RNG is pretty amplified.
Yeah, IG kind of playing a waiting game at the moment. I mean, Ferrari just needs the supports to not die at this point. As soon as anyone gets picked off, they're gonna, you know, make an attempt to bait out a buyback and then rinse and repeat until eventually someone doesn't have a buyback and then they can make a big move. But we'll see come next Aegis what Vega's game plan is. But now they're just going for really swift picks with the Scythe of Eyes on Queen, the Basher on Ursa. No one can leave their base, and if you want to leave the base, you have to have Shadow Demon right behind you. And he does have a smoke, so he can kind of get good positioning and hopefully not get blinked on by Queen of Pain or scouted out by Beastmaster's Hawk, but he is priority #1. You want to kill him at all costs. Otherwise, you won't be able to Zerg down a target with Beastmaster Roar or Quad Blink.
Here's the question. Does IG try and come out and contest Roshan?
No, I don't think so. I think it's a terrible idea because Beastmaster will see you coming with the Hawks.
They'll have to make a quick decision. Roshan spawns up very quickly for Vega, so it's up in 20 seconds time. The potential spawn time's already connected, so...
You only contest Roche if the other team is in a compromising position because they're in the Roche pit. But Ursa is a completely different story. You don't need your team at all. You're not taking any damage because you have Lifesteal with Vlads and you have Fury Storms. So he can just solo it and his team can just sit in a favorable position. They can even sit on the high ground, like in this area if they really want to. So I think normally you would, because everyone's in the pit and they're grouped up, but in this particular situation, Ursa is not going to put his team at risk at all by doing Roche alone.
There's the initiation for Ferrari. The first time he actually uses the Shadow Blade, and he does it right underneath the Radiant Observer Ward, which is inside the lane. So Ferrari will set himself up. He is building in for the Silver Age, but Mag on bottom lane. Blink forwards actually went into the tree line, and Rabbit roared up. He does actually have that Mana Style, so pops back out a little bit further. The chance keeps Luo out for now. The most important thing is keeping Rabbit alive, and he's just ticking down. They do actually have the Soul Rip. These Necro units, they've dove in a little bit too far. They can't find the kill before the safety of the fountain does reach the gyrocopter.
You can tell that Ferrari's a very experienced player from his item build in this particular game. I think a lot of times you want to try and just gear up for that one big team fight that's going to end the game. Just get AC and hard and maybe a Heaven's Halberd and some evasion so you can survive Ursa's burst and then turn around the fight. But it's not really going to get if it does get to that point, Vega's going to almost assuredly win that fight because they're only going to take it when they're 20,000 gold ahead with Aegis Cheese. Yeah. So instead, he's actually trying to extend the area that they can farm out. First by getting the Mantis style to farm out the side lanes, which you see him doing now, and then getting the Shadow Blade to pick off heroes that are trying to push into their towers. So slowly but surely, he is expanding the territory that they can farm.
Is the initiation IG needed? You're right. Without that, they fight on Vega's terms, which means they lose.
Yeah. So it's a small step to securing IG victory, and there's only one gem and one necro, and both of them are on the Beastmaster, so it leaves maybe Queen of Vain slightly vulnerable to a gank like that, which will give him a lot of gold.
Well, they're going to see Pasha run to that dire Observer Ward. Chuan was smoked up to try and get this thing out, and they do have the 2 obs and sentries down. So they can see if Vega attack through the top. As you also mentioned, the Beastmaster down the bottom with that gem. The refresher is so close to being done. Once this is up, the initial damage that those Necro units do, it just comes straight back again.
The Manta on Ferrari also allows him to build a Halberd, which is incredibly good versus an Ursa, but he has to wait for his BKB to be a little bit less. It's 10 seconds right now. He's had it for 20 minutes and hasn't had the opportunity.
Do you actually think he'll do the Halberd or just complete up the Silver Edge? Like, is it worthwhile taking off Fury Swipes or Inner Beast?
I think Halberd is a little bit better because they don't have a solar press on his team, and there's going to be on Vega. He's going to be, I think, the main tank, and he needs to draw a lot of attention away from the Gyrocopter. Silver Edge is more offensive. I think they're more defensive. They want to survive inside their own base.
And this lead just keeps going up. If you actually look at the experience graph, it's almost like a direct line moving up to 33,000 experience advantage in favor of Vega. But IG just make this so difficult for them to finish it.
Yeah, it's kind of like IG's burning anti-mage game at TI. It's, you know, they're stuck in their own base. They can only win if the other team makes a blunder inside their base, and they're just kind of waiting for that moment because it does happen.
Yep. On the bright side about having anti-mage, at least he can blink himself around and maybe play behind the lines of Vega, where IG just don't have that option. Like, they've literally got up themselves a fort. And Vega's the only way to get through is just to completely break the line. So Solo moves to the front lines. You do have that refresher orb now over on the Beastmaster, and this looks like it's fight time right now for Vega. They have the Aegis and the G's available, and in fact that blink in, no one triggers off the BKB. He's trying to keep King J out. This Sonic Wave will hit pretty hard on Lure. The mech charge, it can't keep him alive, and you got the Venomancer out. He's got buyback. He's going to just come straight back into this engagement. The Tombstone still alive for now, but no one doing so much work on the back line. Solo needs to shallow grave himself up in a moment. Mag, now he's actually used their refresher orb. Roar is back, and Luho just getting obliterated. No one's doing the work. There's also Pasha in the mix. They have to keep themselves alive. Rabble will buy back into this game. They force-staff him up, but no one just keeps chasing it even deeper. Ferrari wants to have a play at this one, but the cheese will pop. Queen of Pain stays alive. Rabbit, he's still got the life. He's still lost the life. The Roar will take it away from him. It looks like Vega have finally broken the base. Ferrari can come out for one last concoction, but all he can hit is the Dazzle. He might find the pick off here, and yes, he will do so, but the damage has really been done. 3 buybacks from Invictus Gaming to defend, but then again, IG still have their pot and racks. Maybe it's not a complete loss. This game will keep going.
Yeah, too many buybacks used for IG. That was pretty good, but they hit at the time when Queen of Pain has her AC. Like, she can blink in with BKB, and that's one of the strengths about having the build. You are almost immune to death for 10 seconds.
The funny thing is, though, Ferrari still survived throughout the entire thing. Like, the buybacks came out from everybody else.
Yeah, but everyone else, like, doesn't really do anything. Like, Luo didn't get a Poison Nova off. He can't survive.
Yep.
Even with a Ghost Scepter, and everyone's just underfarmed.
It's just flagging the fact that Ferrari, who is kind of like the only hope now for Invictus Gaming, is still finding cash.
Yeah, he's not your ideal late gamer, though. Like, there's no way he can man fight the Ursa. Ursa will just destroy him.
Yeah. So
he can't solo anyone, and he will die without a Stimulate Rage on. And they're just having issues with people staying alive. Shadow Demon having no items, same with Undying.
I really want to see this decision from Alchemist. Like, you're flagging Halbert. He's got 5.3k gold. It would have been very easy.
Rapier, maybe?
Rapier doesn't really work. he could attempt something like an Abyssal Blade. Like, that's one way to go. Because then you'll actually have some direct control over the Ursa, but Ursa's already at the point right now where if Ferrari is standing in front of Ursa, Ferrari is dead. It's just the way it is. So he needs to buy something else, and the Courier's making his trip out. Okay, it stopped for a moment because down on bottom lane, Pasha, the Purge is on him, and they're actually taking a lot of his life away. And in fact, they burn through the Aegis to the Immortal. Ferrari back to front lines, no one. Or let that Sonic Wave go, and IG never really lost much from Pasha. Now they'll take out the Tombstone. The Weave is still having its effect. It's just reducing the armor of Invictus Gaming. Every single player on the front lines of IG having troubles. But Ferrari just pushes out the illusion of the Alchemist. Radiance burn whatever you can without risking himself too much. Now they even use disruptions to get even more Radiance Alchemist running out and causing Vega considerable problems. What are we looking at? Like the old PL, where you just keep making copies of copies of copies to keep the burn going?
It works that they don't have sustain, but they have Dazzle Heal, and he has a Scepter on top of that.
Here they come. There goes your range racks merely dropping low. Fortification still available here for Invictus Gaming. The Necro units are doing the work for the moment, and Ferrari just wants to get rid of that Necro unit too, but that means he gets hexed up by no one. Defensive disruption by King J. So that means more Alchemist illusions to keep them back. And Vega, bit by bit, they're chipping away at IG. And it looks like we've seen some money being spent. It's an Assault Cuirass from Ferrari, but he needs that Courier to be able to get out to the shop to get the entire Assault Cuirass. And there's Observer Wards watching for this. This is not going to be an easy trek.
The armor was sorely needed at some point.
Raw, Rabbit, and they refresh her. The funny thing is the Rocket will buy a little bit of space, but when Pasha arrives, that Hersha just destroys him. Snowball's coming into the mid lane. Defensive disruption means the Tusker doesn't connect on anything, but he just blinks away.
Yeah, Gyro doesn't have buyback. Now they're forced to fight 4 on 5 with very few buybacks.
But they have the Assault Cuirass done.
Yes,
but this also means that the Alchemist, where's your buyback over on him? It doesn't exist. He's short by 350 gold. Probably going to find that during the fight, however. But Ferrari just runs to the front lines. The Gale will connect over on the Ursa, so he's going to get carted up a little bit at the moment. But Ferrari, look at the damage! King J already has to disrupt him. This is meant to be a guy with a Assault Cuirass. It's meant to be able to survive, but the rest of IG is getting picked off the back lines. Now Ferrari will come in, beat into solo, but the Snowball will protect him. They start fighting at the tier 4 towers of Invictus Gaming. Vega, it feels like they have firmly shoved this one down in the bag. Defensive disruption again buys a little bit more time. The Vega, they have basically pitched a tent, and IG's home has been overrun. They will lose the top ranks, and they'll lose game 2. Invictus Gaming forced into a third by Vega. A convincing game, a very solid game, and a very patient game from the Russians.
Yeah, all it took was one fight where they had superior vision, and that mid T1 fight where Beastmaster came from behind and just obliterated IG's 5-man. And from there, they had no hopes of team fight, no hopes of saving Roshan, and kind of turtling, waiting for Ferrari to hold, but he cannot do it solo.
No, he cannot. He tried. He really, really did try, but as you said, team fights, where were all those ulti combos? Where was the dream? It wasn't there for IG, it was for Vega. They keep their hopes alive. For now, let's get the thoughts of the panelists before we go to game 3.
Thank you very much, Toby. Game 2 goes the way of Vega, which means we're going to the ace match, the Dream. Milk, give us your thoughts about that series, or that match, rather.
I don't think IG played that nearly as good as they could have.
You're really disappointed in the Venomancer, aren't you?
I mean, okay, let's go over this real quick then. Let's just do the call-outs. Venomancer, okay. The good thing about a Venomancer is that you get your ultimate off. The bad thing about how IG played this Venomancer was that they didn't get their ultimate off. So he would die, he would buy back, he would die again, and his ultimate still wasn't used. Then in this team fight, he would die again, and his ultimate still wasn't used. I don't think he used his ultimate the last 10 minutes of the game. Before that, he didn't skill it up on 11, which is also, you know, okay, mistakes happen. And okay, moving on to Chuan, who decided not to skill his ultimate either for the longest time of the game. The whole point of this 5-on-5 being really, really strong is the fact that there's so much toxicity coming out from these spells, and I don't think IG got the memo. That being said, great game. Really good execution from especially Mag on the Beastmaster, and then of course no one on the Queen of Pain, now that there was no Doombringer to annoy him.
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought up the Beastmaster, because he had that level 3 Necro book, like the 60-minute mark. It seemed like as soon as that came out, he was able to just control the game. The amount of damage he put out was just insane.
Yeah, not a lot of heroes can actually stand up to that, and because the Gyrocopter was so underfarmed, Mag was pretty much a solo kill threat to him alone, and he just played such a great game. Like, when it came to farm, he had like a Necro 3 refresher by the end of the game, and it was actually, I thought it was going to be the Ursa that would make the big difference, but for the most part, the Ursa just was kited throughout most of the fights, but it was that Beastmaster and that Queen of Pain. If you looked at the lineups, like, Queen of Pain had no natural counter on the side of IG, and she was just able to do whatever she wanted.
I feel like in the drafting phase, we are oftentimes making a big deal of what was Mag going to be playing, and I think this is exactly why we were making that a big deal. I think Mag definitely ran a large part of the show there for Vega Squadron.
But it sounds like you think this was almost a little bit more of an out draft than just a pure out execution. Of course, there were some areas where IG fell short, but do you think Queen of Pain just being unchecked was really the big problem here?
I think it was that, and just more the fact that because you had the Roshan and you were on the Radiant side and you could do it so easily, it was like 1-1 fight, we have superior vision, we can just go for the Roshan immediately, we'll always win that, like the fight around that area, and I think part of it too was just execution errors, like Jacob pointed out. The Venomancer had to get his ultimate off because they just lacked damage. Like they flat out just needed him to get some damage on the board, because when you've got two supports like Undying and Shadow Demon, they're not really going to contribute that much. Like those are kind of defensive at times. The Tombstone obviously helps, but when you're being overrun, neither of the supports can really do anything.
Yeah, and especially not that last team fight, but the one right before at that bottom tier 2 tower. It seems like IG were just TPing in one at a time, and at that point, the team synergy was just non-existent.
Yeah, I completely agree. I felt like IG just were a little bit off going into that game too. I think there were some mistakes that were made in the early game, and they just sort of like snowballed against it. It was just like, okay, one mistake was made here, and then another one there, and next thing you know, it was just like they actually just started doubling up, and IG just really fumbled the ball in a lot of those team fights.
So now that we've seen this series squared up, both teams have taken a match. Who would you say is looking stronger overall going into Game 3?
Vega, I think, play-wise, I think Vega looks stronger. I think the strategy from IG should have won. I still believe it was stronger, even though Queen of Pain had this free reign because of the no disable on IG's lineup. I still think Vega might pull through now. I firmly believed IG would, but that was really, really lackluster for me. That's not the IG that I'm familiar with.
Okay. Blitz, final word here?
I just thought that IG had to get a little bit more aggressive a little bit earlier. Obviously, the skill build and the execution errors that they had kind of limited their draft a little bit, because that's not a draft that's meant to come back from behind. You have to like take control of the game and just hold on to it at that point. They probably had some execution errors where they just didn't play around the Tombstone well enough as well. Like they pretty much had to play around the Tombstone and the Venomancer ulti, and because they weren't able to do either of those, I mean, that was just an easy win for Vega.
All right, well, with that, we'll throw it to a break, and then when we come back, the ace match between IG and Vega. The winner will be moving on to face Secret in the finals. Stick around to see the conclusion.